Hi, everybody, and welcome to another fireside chat, this time with the rather provocative title of Forget Gambling and Learn Entertainment. My name is Jesper Kärrbrink. I'm the I'm the chairman of Green Jade Games, Seagull, the Danish operator, Pariplay, the tier 1 aggregator, and Internet Vikings. And here today, I'm sitting here today together with Dylan Slaney from SG Digital. Could you please introductions?
Yeah, hi guys. Great to be with you today. Hope you're enjoying iGaming Next. As just said, I'm Dylan. I run the casino division here at SG Digital, and looking forward to chatting with Jesper and you guys today on this very interesting topic.
Yes, and please, this is a chat between me and Dylan. It's not one moderating the others or not one interviewing the others. Absolutely not. And we are welcoming questions from the audience. I think there's a routine for this, so you can just send them in, and we will choose the best one or the most funny ones or whatever comes in to take them further on. But I would like to start this with some data points, and if we look at speaking to some of the operators, we start to see, or some operators are starting to see, that there's a declining number of players in the 18 to 25 segments. So it's not growing as fast as it did before. We also have data from a company in the US called Synergy Blue saying that 93% of the population, of the adult population, have played arcade, video, or casual mobile games. And 79% of the people are saying that if a casino game was more like a video or a social game or an arcade game, then I would play more. And then another 84% said that if a game required more thought, strategy, or skill to play, the player feel it does or might up the chances of winning. So Dylan, my take of this is quite obvious. We are missing a large part of the population in our casinos.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's many studies, okay, that have started to look at where the 18 to 25 population are spending their time, okay. And I think it's an area that, from an industry point of view, that we need to look at more. I take esports, okay, and the stats and the numbers that are coming out of esports at the moment are just frightening in terms of the growth of the number of people, right? So things like 500 million fans tuning into tournaments, roughly split 50-50 between casual and enthusiasts. 2023 is expected to be something like 646 million. In Q3, Twitch streamed 206 million hours of content, up 15% from Q2, and something like 30 million viewers watching the virtual Grand Prix that happened during COVID, right? So we know that there's an appetite from customers, from players, for entertainment experiences, and they're after a variety of different things at the moment. Esports being one, peer-to-peer play on things like Xbox and PlayStation, other areas where we know that kind of like core cohort of 18 to 25s are spending a lot of time at the moment. And I think it's, from an industry point of view, we need to look at those industries and we need to understand the reasons and experiences that they're having through different kind of like entertainment mediums, and see what we can translate and push back into this brilliant industry. Because I've said for a while, for me, the iGaming, casino, sports betting place, it's part of the entertainment experience, okay, and it's part of the entertainment mix, and it's part of the broader entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
And whilst there's things that we can do, we need to look into those other verticals, I think, to find cues and nuances and bring back into this brilliant industry that we all love.
Exactly, and there's foundation for this, because people are gambling. That's there are also data out there showing, in Sweden and the Nordics, where I know the numbers the best, approximately 6 to 7% of the population are playing slots.
Yeah.
But we know that 65 to 70% of the population are gambling or playing for money somehow. They are pool games or scratch tickets or lotto or lotteries, etc., etc. And I actually think it's more than that, because when I speak to some of my friends, they say, I never gamble. Okay, but you bought that scratch ticket. Yeah, but that's not gambling. So the 60 to 70% is there. So there's a people want to gamble. People don't mind gambling. At the same time, if you take the sport books aside, but if you look at the pure casinos, we attract 6 to 7, or say 10% of the population. So there isn't a huge room for us, as you're saying, finding the games that are appealing to the esporters or the younger population growing up with other games. There should be an opportunity in this.
Yeah, absolutely, and we definitely see it in places like the US with, I think the likes of DraftKings and FanDuel, probably bringing a different demographic of audience into the US sort of like digital casino play from the traditional land-based players that have gone digital as well. Those players are wanting different experiences. Okay, you can draw a line and we can see that the traditional sort of like land-based players that are going digital want those traditional type of games, but the top sort of like 10, 20 games from a land-based casino that's gone digital is very, very different from what the games look like within a FanDuel and a DraftKings. And that skill base that you talked about is definitely there. It's definitely something that they are migrating more towards. Table games as well, with some kind of like twists is something that, again, those players that are moving from probably that type of demographic have a resonance to a different style and different type of game. And I think we're seeing the genesis of that in the US and also in some other European markets as well.
Good. I mean, this breaks it. We're already coming in questions here. And there's one question that I really would like to address here, and that is, to stay competitive, does the iGaming industry need to radically innovate to keep up with other entertainment platforms? And we can both answer that one, and I would like to start. And for me, yes, that's a super simple yes on that question. And innovation, for me, what we are doing with slots today is not innovation. That's iteration. We are just making good slots better and better and better. And there's nothing wrong with that. We'll come back to that later. It's actually fantastic. But we also need innovation. We need to innovate to the new games. And that's basically what we started Green Jade Games. I mean, we have put some games out there like our Candy Prize, which is a classic match free with a bet element. Every move is a bet. We're coming out to Casino Blocks now, one of the most popular puzzle games out there, and to that we are adding an element of a casino, the thrill of playing casino, because every place of your puzzle pieces is a bet in itself. So, and we see this as a starting point. But what do you see there, Dylan? Is there an opportunity for these kind of games where we merge pure entertainment and skill with gambling?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, look, the answer for me on the question is, do we need to innovate? Absolutely. Okay, but it's the right type of innovation. We see a lot of content now coming into the casino space. Hundreds of new games a month, and when you look at the resonance with players of the things that are really sort of where players are really connected to and are keeping in their consideration set beyond one day of play of a new game, it's those games that offer something different, whether that's a new mechanic, whether that's a real kind of like innovative new look and feel, whether that's something in the bonus game that plays to I think the cues that we're seeing from other industries of something different being more entertaining, and rather than just the kind of like standard way that we know, and we know that players like those kind of like standard kind of like slot games, but players are looking for something more. We're continually looking at different ways to innovate. We took some cues from the peer-to-peer play with something like Jackpot Wars. And we're seeing some great engagement stats there, and thinking about next iterations of what that needs to look like. But it takes time, it takes investment, and it takes a lot of courage, I think, to invest in true innovation. And there's some great things that we're seeing from around the industry at the moment with people trying to push that boundary and to make the experience, I think, brighter than what it has been historically. And I commend any supplier, any operator that's trying to push the boundaries, because that's what keeps the industry moving forward. And that's what other industries, whether that's esports, whether that's PlayStation, Xbox, whether that's Netflix, they're all moving the dial forward, right? And we need to continue to do that to stay relevant, first and foremost to the people that love this industry today, and then also to attract the next generation of gamers into our business as well.
I'm really glad you're saying all this, Dylan, because that's basically what Green Jade Games is about. And coming back to the stats, that we also see that these games has a longer play life. People who likes them stays much longer if we compare them to the slots that we are developing as well. There are data in there that shows that entertainment has it drives retention. It drives longer session times, etc., etc. And then combining this with the thrill of a slot, then you could get both. So, but at the same time, we have to, looking at this one, it's also quite clear to see that the slots players love their slots, and I think we have to respect that. And I'm not sure that you can ask the question: are slots player per se interested in innovation, or I mean, for me, the slots today it's the best ever. They have never been better than this. They are amazing with the sound, the graphics, the math, and everything in this one. And I think we should continue developing this as well. I see this as basically two lines. Don't give up slots. It's a fantastic business. It's a fantastic entertainment for a lot of people. But then perhaps we should rather, as FanDuel and those are doing, they're broadening the scope with other type of games as well to get the larger player base coming into the casinos.
Yeah, no, 100% yes. I mean, look, there's been a tremendous amount of iteration on the core slots games that we know, millions of players around the world love and play responsibly, and that needs to continue. This wonderful device and industry that we're in, it offers some great challenges, but also some great opportunities, right? To make this an entertainment experience of choice from a digital casino point of view. And there's lots more iteration that we can do on this device that we're now, I think, starting to play. And whether that's sound quality, whether that's quality of production, you can definitely see over the last few years there's been some great strides that have been made within that space, and that needs to continue, because there are millions of players globally that love to play in our industry and play responsibly, and we need to reward them with new iterative experiences. And again, there's lots of great work that operators and partners are doing around the globe to make that true, whilst also thinking about the next generation and what they need, and continuing to move the dial forward from an innovation point of view.
Good. Another company I've come to think about when we talk about this, and that's Evolution, to see how they have developed and actually evolved the classic casino games into a lot of entertainment with their Lucky Wheels and the Monopoly games and things like that. That's also, and they have succeeded, massively succeeded. And I think I take that as a proof that there is, if you do the right products, and there is an audience out there who wants to broaden this perspective. It's not just table games anymore, but it's also more of a folky entertainment games. And yeah, we can see that as a sign, I suppose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think again, it's to your point that started, right? The data and insight will show us the path forward, right? There's some great stats. Plug in tomorrow's our gaming next session that we're going to start to talk about in terms of some of the things that we see from the players that play on our platform globally. And there's definitely signals that players are giving us as to the type of things that they want. There is definitely a cohort of players that love Live Dealer, and the brilliant innovation that Evolution and others are doing in that space is great to see, and keep pushing the boundaries even further. There are core, table games players that love playing the traditional blackjack, roulette slots that have been around for a number of years. But there's still great innovation that we can do there to really enhance the kind of like experience that they're getting from those types of games as well. And not every slot player is the same, okay? And we need to provide the plethora of experience that slots players need, from those that are kind of like light enthusiasts to those that are real kind of like casual players that kind of dip in and dip out whenever they feel like they want an experience from this industry. So we've got to look at the data, and the data will tell us the types of things that these enthusiasts and the casual players need and want from the experience that we need to provide.
Perfect. And as you heard Dylan hinted there, he's also on the panel tomorrow. So this is a mid-program advertising meant for that tomorrow. Don't miss Dylan tomorrow as well. We're going to move on to Netflix. But before that, I really have to answer a personal question here I got. Why does Jesper have such a sad printing behind him? Yeah, that's a very good question. This actually hangs in my office. It's from a talented Swedish artist. He painted that around 2008 when the financial market was totally going south. So I have this as a reminder that other times could come, so I better work hard. That's the reason of this painting in my office. Another interesting question coming up here that we should actually talk about is, should the iGaming industry see other entertainment platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime as direct competitors?
This is something close to my heart, so it's
mine too. But you start.
Yeah, it's a question and something that we've debated many times before. But my answer to this is absolutely, and the reason why is this device. Okay, we know that around 81% of the bets that we see on our platform are taken via a mobile device. It's where people are spending time, and where people are spending time on the mobile device. I want to understand the reasons why, and take as many cues and signals from that I can to improve what we do and improve the overall experience that players have within this industry. Netflix for me is just a great example, because there used to be another similar competitor to Netflix called Blockbuster, and we don't talk about Blockbuster anymore because they went bust by essentially not following what their customers wanted. Yeah. And Netflix did. Okay, they were a DV distribution house that then turned essentially the data and insight that they had into being one of the world's, if not now, the world's leading content house and entertainment platforms. I want this industry, and I want us to be a part of a Netflix model rather than a Blockbuster model, and that's why, for me, because people are spending time there, and because there's great insight to what people and our customers are doing, and great insight as to what Netflix do and how they manage their platform, how they manage their mobile experience, is something that I think I personally want to learn more from, and I think as an industry we can learn more from as well.
I agree, and this is all about entertainment is leisure time. Absolutely. And every person has a certain amount of leisure time. And that's what we're competing about. And either it's Netflix or Amazon or going to the cinemas or spending times outside, etc., etc. This is leisure time. And it's the leisure time you don't spend with your family. It's your private leisure time. So it's just getting more and more limited here. And we have to stand out to compete with this. And once again, back to, for the 6-7% of the population playing slots, we already won that battle. But with the new age groups coming up, more used to the Netflix, spending more time there, we don't see them really pick up on our games as before. That's where we back to this, where we need to introduce more entertainment into our games. But then it's quite interesting to see, because I meet a lot and talk to a lot of operators, of course, and everyone says that we're going to be like Netflix. And I used to tell them that you already have the same business model as Netflix. Perhaps you don't perform it as well or execute it as well as they do, but they are a portal for good films and series. Yeah. As an operator, it's a portal for great games, whether they come from NetEnt or SD Digital or Evolution or Green Gen Games. It's a portal. And it's a matter of how you treat the customers within that portal. There, Netflix are expert. Some of our operators absolutely are. But there's one big difference, and this is, I would really like to bounce on that topic for a couple of minutes. And that is that Netflix are also producing their own content. That's what made them successful. That's what made them stand out. That's what made them, I have to pay that subscription because I can't get that content anywhere else. And they made some, I mean, they started with I mean, they have some fantastic own content. So it's basically, the hits are House of Cards. It's perhaps one of the most famous ones. The hit started one, yeah.
Absolutely.
And then came a president, and he couldn't do it anymore because fiction couldn't live up to reality. But that's another thing. And in my opinion, there's basically only one company doing a pure Netflix model, and that's the Danish operator Seagull. They're operating Spill Nu and Lyckos in Sweden. They have 85% of their content is in-house produced, and it's for them only.
Yeah.
They don't sell it; it's their own, and the players loves it. And the retention numbers there, I've seen them. I'm on the borders. I see the retention numbers. They're amazing. Their EBITDA margin is almost 50%, not 15, but 50. So they done this, and is that when we talk about being in Netflix, is that what we should talk about? Finding, or is this a trend? Will more and more operators go into that segment where they actually become a Netflix, where they do their own hits and where they do their own content?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, right? So there's definitely, and we can see from the data, right? There's definitely a need for what I call localized content, right? So whilst players play content globally, we can see in the data that certain games and certain style of games, certain types of games definitely resonate locally, and whether providers can provide that kind of niche across all markets, or whether operators need to look at that. I think that's a great discussion, and there's different models within the industry today. From our point of view, okay, we have a platform that we talk about is very, very similar from a Netflix point of view, although we're not B2C. Okay, we're pure B2B in the way that we talk about it, which is we make our own content. We allow people to build on our platform, and then we also connect in brilliant content that operators and players love. And it's, for me, it can never be an or, it's always got to be an and, because players don't just play my content. Players just don't play NetEnt content. Players play a plethora of content and have a good amount of content within their consideration set. It'd be nice to sit here and say, no, players only play our content, right? Even on our platform, we can see that. We can see that there is massive crossover between different genres of slots, different types of slots. Again, not every jackpot player is the same. Not every slot player is the same. Not every table game player is the same. So I think the model needs to be what's right for players, and what we want to provide is the best content. We obviously want to produce the best content, but we're also cognizant to know that we don't always produce the best content, and there's lots of great content providers out there, and that's where the platform and access and the Netflix model, as we talk about it, comes in, because then we want to provide that kind of like access so that players and ultimately our end customers at the moment, operators and their players, can have the best experience from our platform and our content. To some extent, I totally agree with you, because there's a different business logic into this, but I also think we will see a trend of more and more operators actually investing in their own House of Cards or whatever you call them, because that's a super strong retention to have something that no one else has. And of course, absolutely,
long term, if this hits through, both the companies like ours developing games, we will need to change our business models or invest even more in larger titles, etc. And on that note, absolutely. Are we flooding the market now? Are there too many titles out there? Because there's a lot of people saying, yeah, but Netflix is coming with a new series every day. Yes, of course they do, because when you've seen one, you don't re-see it again. I have like 2-3 films that I can see like 4, 5, 6 times, and there's some Bond movies, there's Fight Club, there's Matrix, etc. Because they made the genre somehow. But otherwise, you never see a film again. It's like boring. But the game I can play for hundreds of times, and it's still fun. Are we releasing too many games today?
Well, look, a great question. My view, yes. When you just look at the amount of time that goes into the production of a game, and to really get what we talked about at the start, right, to get the production quality as good as it can be, and as good as it needs to be to, I think, compete in the broader entertainment space, then absolutely, the numbers, 200, 300, 400 new games that are coming out, every month is just it's just a crazy amount of content, and we see within the data, 65-70% of players might sort of like dip in and play the game once, but then don't have it in their consideration set, and the drop off and tail off now of games from a game decay point of view is frightening to see the amount of the amount of, I wouldn't say wasted innovation, right, but money that's going into games that don't get into that sort of like consideration set. And there's a balance. Okay, we need to keep players entertained. We need to keep them rewarded with new content. We see on some of our biggest franchises, when we put new content out in some of the biggest franchises that we have, we can reward existing players, and we can also bring in new players that never played in the franchise before. So it's balance. I think the amount of content that's out there at the moment, the amount of noise around content is probably too much. And I think operators are wading through a sea of kind of like decision making of what content to take, where to place it. And a lot of content, I'm afraid, goes out on day one and doesn't get into consideration set, which is not good long term, I think, from an industry point of view. So balance, we're probably at the top end at the moment in terms of too much content, and probably need to bring it down to get the right content for the right players in the right areas to really kind of like reward and retain players from a medium to long term point of view, not just short term games.
No, I totally agree. My view is also that we are flooding the market right now with more games than needed. We should also absolutely have a variety of games. There should come new games all the time. But this is on the brink of being ridiculous, basically. And we also have this. I mean, we see this when we players don't even spend enough time to hit the bonus round. It could take like 60, 70, 80 spins to get in there. But they do a couple of spins and then they jump to the next game and then they jump to the next game. So it's also from a producer's perspective, they are not playing your full game. I mean, and that's quite interesting. So yeah. But that's a challenge. That's a challenge for the industry. But also that's something that's probably will sort itself. I mean, this is right now a last man standing competition. They're going to be of course, a number of game producers out there, but still, I think I agree with you. We are overflooding right now.
And regulation, right? Regulation will probably have an impact. Will have an impact on that as well in certain markets, right?
Definitely. And on that note, will regulation drive more entertaining games, or will it stop more entertaining games?
I hope it's the former. My fear is that it could be the latter. Okay, it's the numbers that we're seeing in places like in Sweden, in Germany, even though we've not fully implemented the regs yet, don't bode well from an overall, I think, health of the industry point of view. And it's balance, right? We know it doesn't matter what stat that we look at, that globally, 98.5, 99% of people play in this industry responsibly. We need to protect the vulnerable, and regulation is good to protect the industry. But it's also balance and fairness, right? To allow the majority of players that we know play in this industry, that love this industry, that play responsibly, to allow them the freedom to play within their boundaries and limits. And it's that the industry needs to, I think, get together more to really tackle collectively, not just market by market, not just reg by reg, but really get our heads together to protect the most vulnerable, to provide the right responsible gambling tools that are needed to protect the most vulnerable, but also to allow people the freedom to play in this brilliant industry.
Good. I agree. And I really hope that regulators can see that the more entertaining games, the arcade games that we are making now they're a bit more friendly. You not get into that super soon at the same pace. You can play them a bit slower. You can play them a bit longer times. This is entertainment. I think this is important for the industry, that we can show that we have both these kind of games. We have the super fast slots, but we also have a bit more of a playable and slower arcade games into this. even if there could be some fast arcade games as well. We have a question here, and I'm going to take the second half of that question. What impact will streaming entertainment have on the casino games' performance and awareness to reach new demographics? I personally think that's a great question, because this is a way, I mean, streamers are actually the bridge into the new generation where streamers is a natural part of daily life. When I start reading my newspaper in the morning, my kids are starting their streams, whatever it is. And they are a different generation than I am. So I totally believe that streamers and streaming content of games or while you're playing, etc., will have a huge impact on attracting new players into our industry. Dylan?
Yeah, 100% agree. I think it's again, it's about the certain types of player, the certain demographic type, player type, whatever it is you want to call it, that want to see that type of content and will be attracted from it. Again, if you go to the 206 million hours of content streamed on Twitch from an esports point of view, right? So there is an audience there. There is a player base or a customer base that like and that are already doing that in other verticals. So why not for this industry? I don't think it appeals to every type of player, but there is a certain type of player where they want to be entertained. And I think the good streamers in our industry do a fantastic job to entertain, to educate, to really lift the bar on how people consume content within this industry.
I agree. And once again, back to Evolution, what they are doing, they are basically streaming their games live. They're playing and streaming and talking. And there's this, I think human beings, we like this human interaction, even though it's over video. And during the COVID period now, we have learned to do that even more. I mean, we even having these conferences here. We're not even sitting in the same room. We can't see the audience or anything. And this works perfectly normal today. So I think streamers will have a very, very strong impact, as you're saying, on how we're playing these games or how we are selling this game or marketing these games in the future. Good. We are on a 3-minute call here from our organizers.
Let's keep going.
Yeah. We just keep chatting here. They have to kind of pull the plug. So, if you talk more this first person shooter games or puzzle games or match 3 games that we are now turning into, and the industry is slowly starting to turn into casino games, where will these hit first? US, Asia, Europe?
Well, I think, look, great question. I think it will hit. I think it will hit globally. We know that there's a tremendous demand in UK and Europe for that type of innovation, and players are there and will resonate with it. US, it's a new audience. There's only 3 or 4 kind of like iGaming states that are around at the moment, but that new audience is probably coming from 2 different markets, right? The traditional land-based sides that are moving into digital, and then there's like what we call the fantasy sports side, which is probably, like we said before, has got a younger demographic, but definitely demand in the US. And Asia is it's an interesting market, right? We know that there's again some tremendous numbers that are being seen in places like Japan and India. So yeah, I think look, there is a global customer base that's out there. I think it's from within the industry's point of view now to find the right nuances that appeal globally, the right games that appeal globally, but also then to have that kind of like that localization where things may take off in Asia that don't resonate in the US, things may resonate in the US that won't take off in UK and Europe, and we find the balance and blend to give players the entertainment experience that they desire.
I agree. I mean, we have launched these games in all markets right now, and you are right. It's a global phenomenon. But right now we see a pretty strong pickup in Asia for some of the games, and it seems like arcade games are they play this for generations now. It's not only the young kids, but it's only the older people have been playing these games for quite a long time. So my bet would be that we will see a faster pickup in Asia, and then Europe and US will probably come in. But still, you are right. This is a global phenomenon. We want to have more entertainment, and I think we as a gaming company need to supply more entertainment. And with that, we are done here today. So from me and Dylan, thanks all for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you couldn't get enough of Dylan, you can see him tomorrow again. Me, no, you can't. But I really
come and join us.
time here and a pleasure. Yes. See you all. Bye.
Take care. Thanks, guys.